Students, now we will move forward in our chapter breathing and gaseous exchange. So here we will learn how the oxygen and carbon dioxide is transported by different means. So first we will discuss about the transport of oxygen. So first we will read the facts as RBCs of the human contain red colored pigment having iron called hemoglobin. It binds with oxygen in a reversible reaction manner, and a single hemoglobin molecule can bind with four oxygen molecules. It means the as we know that our blood is made up of some cells and plasma. So the RBC, red blood corpuscles, is having a red colored pigment which contains hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the combination of a protein, globulin, and heme, means iron. So this iron binds with oxygen and transports the oxygen from one region to another. And one hemoglobin molecule binds with four oxygen molecules. It means a single hemoglobin present into the RBC transports four oxygen molecules, and this binding of oxygen with this hemoglobin is in reversible reaction manner. It means it will bind and it will lose. In certain conditions, hemoglobin binds with oxygen, and in different conditions, it loses oxygen. And the binding capacity of the oxygen depends on several factors, such as first, the partial pressure of oxygen, and this is the main factor, means partial pressure of oxygen helps the binding of oxygen with the hemoglobin mainly, but some other factors also responsible, or we can say regulate this binding, such as partial pressure of carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration, and temperature. So all these four factors are responsible, or we can say regulates the binding of oxygen with hemoglobin. So we can make a plot between the partial pressure of oxygen with the percentage saturation, means percentage saturation of binding of hemoglobin with oxygen. So we can get the sigmoid curve, which is also called as oxygen dissociation curve. So we can see here, if on this axis percentage saturation will be shown, and on this axis partial pressure of oxygen will be shown. So we can see here that on increasing the partial pressure of oxygen, first uh, it uh, it shows the lag phase, then log phase, and at last the saturation or steady or constant phase. So up to a certain limit, it binds, means hemoglobin binds with oxygen very fast, but after a certain limit, the graph shows a plateau structure. It means finally it shows, means binding of hemoglobin with oxygen shows a sigmoid curve structure, which is regulated by four factors. First is partial pressure of oxygen, second is partial pressure of carbon dioxide, third is carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration, and fourth is temperature. Now we can see here some conditions of binding of oxygen with the hemoglobin. So we can see here in case of alveoli, what happens in alveoli? Oxygen binds with hemoglobin. So there are certain conditions which help the binding of oxygen with the hemoglobin. So high oxygen means more partial pressure of oxygen, low partial pressure of carbon dioxide, less hydrogen ion concentration, and low temperature. So all these four factors in this combination helps oxygen to bind with hemoglobin, and it becomes oxyhemoglobin in alveoli. So in case of alveoli, we can see here this condition: high oxygen, low CO2, less hydrogen ion, low temperature helps binding of oxygen with this hemoglobin, and finally it forms oxyhemoglobin. But when the condition is changed, in such as in tissues, so in tissues, as we know that the all the oxygen will be utilized for the oxidation of food, so the amount of oxygen will be low in the tissue, and amount of carbon dioxide will be high, and the hydrogen ion concentration will be more in the tissues, and temperature will also be high. So this condition promotes dissociation of oxygen, means dissociation of oxyhemoglobin into hemoglobin and oxygen. It means it helps the oxyhemoglobin to dissociate with this oxygen. So we can see here that different consent different conditions of all these factors on one hand supports the formation of oxyhemoglobin, and on another place such as tissue it helps for the dissociation of oxygen. And as we know that it is very essential step of transportation of oxygen from lungs to the tissues, that high hemoglobin should bind with oxygen and it should transport, and where it has to deliver the oxygen, that is tissue, it should be dissociated. So we can see here all these four conditions in alveoli and tissues. In case of alveoli, it supports the binding of oxygen. In case of tissues, since tissue needs oxygen, so it helps in dissociation of oxygen with this hemoglobin. And there are some facts, as 100 ml of blood carry 5 ml of oxygen, and 100 ml of blood carry 4 ml of carbon dioxide. So this is the general capacity of transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Now we will talk about the transport of carbon dioxide. So it is very important thing, and it has several steps. As we know that carbon dioxide is transported in different conditions by different means, such as in our previous lecture we have seen that the transportation of carbon dioxide is taking place by three ways. First is 20 to 25% of this carbon dioxide is transported by RBC in the form of uh, binding with hemoglobin, and 70% of the carbon dioxide is transported in bicarbonate ion form by both RBC and plasma, and 7% of the plasma, 7% of the carbon dioxide is transported by plasma in dissolved form. So we will see here how this carbon dioxide is transported. So the first one is in the form of carbaminohemoglobin. It means how this carbon dioxide binds with hemoglobin. So we can see here carbon dioxide transported through hemoglobin in the form of carbaminohemoglobin, and it is in the amount 20 to 25%. It means 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide is transported in the form of carbaminohemoglobin, where the hemoglobin binds with carbon dioxide, which is solely depends on partial pressure of carbon dioxide and partial pressure of oxygen. And some means we can see here in first case in transportation of oxygen, four factors were responsible, but in case of transportation of carbon dioxide, mainly two factors are responsible. One is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, and second is the partial pressure of oxygen. And in tissues, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is higher and partial pressure of oxygen is low. So there will be more binding of carbon dioxide takes place with hemoglobin. But on the other hand, in lungs, partial pressure of carbon dioxide is less as compared to partial pressure of oxygen. So it leads to dissociation of carbon dioxide from carbaminohemoglobin. So by this schematic representation, we can understand the whole story as in tissues. As we know that blood has to transport carbon dioxide from tissues to lungs So hemoglobin should bind carbon dioxide. So here in tissues, as we know that oxygen has been consumed for the oxidation of food. So the here the partial pressure of oxygen will be low and partial pressure of carbon dioxide will be high. So this condition promotes binding of hemoglobin with carbon dioxide and it forms carboxy carbaminohemoglobin. But when it transports this carbon dioxide to lungs and especially in the alveoli, so what happens in lungs? The partial pressure of oxygen is more as compared to partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So here the carbaminohemoglobin leaves carbon dioxide. So here the carbon dioxide will be expelled out by the process of expiration. So by this 20 to 25% of transportation of carbon dioxide takes place. Now we will see how this dissolved form of carbon dioxide is transported through RBC and plasma. So there is a very important enzyme called carbonic anhydrase. So this enzyme is very important for the transportation of carbon dioxide in dissolved form. And this carbonic anhydrase is present in both RBC and plasma. And it is very important point that the amount of this carbonic anhydrase is present in very high amount in RBC as compared to plasma. It means its amount is much more high in case of RBC as compared to plasma, but it is present in both the places. And this enzyme in uh, helps in binding of carbon dioxide with water, and finally it forms carbonic acid. And this reaction is the reversible reaction. It means the reaction can be taken place in both the way. It means carbon dioxide, we can see here that carbonic anhydrase is forming this carbonic anhydrase by binding of carbon dioxide and water, and by the same enzyme it dissociates into ions also, carbonic ion and hydrogen ion also. So we will see the exact mechanism which is taking place in tissues and blood and alveoli and blood. So what happens, as we know that carbon dioxide has to transport or has to transfer from tissues to the blood. So this outline is showing the blood vessel in which this RBC is present, and around this RBC plasma is present, and this is the tissue or cell. So what happens, this carbon dioxide is transported. I told you that the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is more, so it will be transported into the uh, blood vessel. So this carbon dioxide, as I told previously, that 20% will be transported by binding of hemoglobin. In my previous in our previous heading we have seen, but around 70% of the carbon dioxide binds with water in presence of this carbonic anhydrase enzyme, and it forms carbonic acid, and finally it dissociates into carbonic ion and hydrogen ion. So this HCO3 minus carbonic ion is transported into the plasma, and to adjust this ionic concentration, chloride ion enters into the RBC. So we can see here the carbon dioxide, around 70% of the carbon dioxide binds with water and it forms carbonic acid. Then it dissociates into carbonic ion and hydrogen ion, and carbonic ion is transported outside this RBC. This is the RBC. So this carbonic ion has been transported in plasma, and to adjust this ionic concentration, chloride ion enters into the blood yeah, RBC. So this exchange of ion is called chloride shift or Helden effect or Hamburger effect. So we can see here what happens with the hydrogen ion concentration. So the, another mechanism is also taking place as this the oxygenated or binded hemoglobin, oxyhemoglobin has to leave oxygen and it has to transport into the tissue. So uh, dissociation of oxyhemoglobin takes place here, and it leaves oxygen, and the ion, hydrogen ion, binds with this hemoglobin. So we can see here how this carbon dioxide is transported in uh, the carbonic ion, and we can see here that how this chloride shift is also taking place. Now we will see what happens in alveoli. So we have seen that this carbonic ion has been transported through the plasma, and when it reaches to the nearby the blood vessel of uh, blood vessels present around the alveoli, it enters into again into the RBC, and since this uh, this hemoglobin has received oxygen and it has loosened this hydrogen ion, so it binds with hydrogen, and again in presence of this carbonic anhydrase, it forms carbonic acid, and again it is dissociated into carbon dioxide and water. As I told you that this carbonic anhydrase functions, means helps the reaction in both the direction. So we can see here that previously carbon dioxide and water has been binded in presence of this carbonic acid, carbonic anhydrase. Now it is losing the carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide is transported into the alveoli, and we can see here that in our previous heading we have seen how this hemoglobin has bind with this carbon dioxide, and how it loses carbon dioxide. So around 70% of this carbon dioxide has been transported by this carbonic ion, and around 20% of this carbon dioxide has been transported with hemoglobin. Now these the total of this carbon dioxide will be transported into the alveoli, and it will be expelled out. And here the oxygen has been received by hemoglobin, and when the hemoglobin receives oxygen, so it has loosened this hydrogen ion, and it forms oxyhemoglobin. So we can see here the whole mechanism how this carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion has been transported. Thank you.